So this is closing up your Florida home. And here are some of the things that we are going to discuss in today's presentation. We'll take a look at how to handle the interior of your home, moisture and controlling mold. Then the exterior of your home. We're going to talk about a little bit about intruder prevention, as well as household inventory. So whenever we think about preparing our home for departure, we have to think about also preparing it for any type of a weather disaster. So that's why we also include that household inventory, as well as moisture and exterior examination. So the University of Florida is an equal opportunity institution. And as we start, we talk about some key words. One, getting organized, because it is a time-consuming process to making sure you leave your home. You're maybe the largest or one of the largest assets that you own. Developing a plan, leaving your home clean and dry. People often kind of laugh at that, but we have to remember that Florida is has a lot of humidity. And so leaving things dry is especially important, and leaving things clean so that we don't have any type of little critters wanting to explore the inside or take up residence in the inside of our home. So preparing the interior of your home, we're going to look at your kitchen, laundry room, bedroom, closets, and your bathroom. And a lot of these things are pretty common sense, but hopefully you'll pick up a few tips on maybe things you never considered before. So in the kitchen, of course, you want to remove any food particles, especially underneath that toaster and that little tray. But anywhere in your kitchen that has food particles, again, that little crumb is a buffet to a cockroach or any kind of a little insect. You want to keep things clean and unplug anything that you can. Remember that the Tampa Bay region, which includes Sarasota, is the lightning capital of the country. And if you've ever stayed in the state during the summer seasons, our storms can be quite strong. So it's always good to have things unplugged in case there is a power surge, to not have to replace even the smallest of appliances is helpful. Think about your refrigerator, and there's, of course, you can leave it unplugged. On this slide, we'll talk about keeping it unplugged. And on the other side, we'll talk about keeping it plugged in. But if you do choose to unplug your refrigerator, remember that's a major appliance that you would have to replace if a power surge were to occur and damage that appliance. So considering to unplug it might be a choice that you would choose, but you will need to clean the interior of that appliance with using 1 tablespoon of baking soda with 1 quart of water, and a quart of water, of course, is 4 cups. The water should be warm. Remember, if you have those glass shelving, you don't want those to crack with hot water. So even cool to just warm water to prevent that shelving from cracking. And you want to leave the refrigerator and the freezer doors ajar so that mold doesn't start to build up. Clean that rubber gaskets around the refrigerator and freezer. Get in those little grooves to make sure that, again, that no mold has already started to grow there, but that it's also clean and dry as well. If you choose to leave your refrigerator plugged in, you want to dispose any perishables, or maybe give them to a neighbor, a friend, a relative. Maybe, compost those perishables. Discard contents of the refrigerator and freezer that might not last long. If you are storing, say, for example, ice cream that does have an expiration date, you might want to enjoy that before you leave. Place ice cubes in sealed container and leave it in your freezer. The reason why we ask you to do that is that if there is a power outage and it has lasted for several hours or several days, when you come back, if you see that bag of cubes no longer as cubes, but now just a little blob of frozen water, then you know that those items in your refrigerator and freezer would need to be discarded. When in doubt, we throw it out, especially those temperature sensitive foods. But really, if you are gone for more than a month and you know that power has been out of your house for more than just 2 or 3 hours, you really will need to discard those food items to avoid any potential foodborne illness. So your dishwasher. So remove any particles from the filter, and that filter is usually located at the bottom. Sometimes the filter is easy to get to, sometimes it's very difficult. So if you can get to it, great. If you can't, you're just going to have to let it go. Run through the short cycle and clean to remove soil. What I do, and I do often, is I will take some white vinegar and I just get the generic brand of vinegar. I place it in a bowl and I place the bowl on that top shelf. Sometimes I'm even too lazy to do that, and I'll just pour about maybe a cup of vinegar, 3/4 of a cup of vinegar along the bottom. And I will run the dishwasher. Excuse me, we have somebody coming in. That keeps all the soap scum out of your dishwasher. And think about the soap scum buildup in the pipes that lead out of your dishwasher as well. So I do that like every other time I run my dishwasher to keep it nice, clean, and fresh. And there really is not any soap scum in that dishwasher. You want to keep the door unlatched, just shut, but not latched tightly. And again, you want to clean that seal with that 1 tablespoon of baking soda and 4 cups of water to make sure it's nice and clean. Sometimes I've been asked, should we put some kind of a Vaseline or some type of a lubricant? I recommend that you don't, because that is so difficult to remove when you come back. That's just more work. But yeah, use the vinegar. It is a great way to keep that soap scum at bay. For your kitchen and your kitchen sink, the old-fashioned way, right? Using those ice cubes and baking soda and water. So put some ice cubes down and run your disposal, breaking those cubes up. And what that does was it will break up any fat particles and take it down your drain. Your microwave, and you might want to consider, if you can, to unplug your microwave, especially if it's a freestanding microwave and not in the wall. But to remove splatters, take a bowl of water, close your microwave, turn it on, let that boil for a minute or two to create a lot of steam. Don't remove it, just let it set in there when the microwave is off. Let it set for at least another 5, maybe even 10 minutes to get everything nice and wet and soggy. Then open the door and you can remove those splatters so much easier than you can if you don't let that humidity do its job. But you'll wash it, rinse it, and keep it dry. Again, believe it or not, cockroaches can find or squeeze their way through anything as thick as a piece of paper. So getting inside your microwave, especially if it's dirty, is not a problem for a cockroach. So let's talk about our pantry. So you want to dispose any cereals, crackers, pasta. Now, if you're leaving your refrigerator turned on, I would put my pasta and rice in my freezer. I always keep my pasta in the refrigerator anyways, and I'm always freezing my rice. And people think, well, how do you use your rice then? Well, I'll just measure out my half cup of rice right out of the freezer and put the rice back. I don't warm the rice up. I just use it as just like that. It keeps the rice much longer. And especially brown rice that can go rancid. It's just a nice way to keep it stored. Cereals can be donated if they are not opened and have not been expired, as well as your crackers can be donated, or take them with you if at all possible. Give them to a neighbor, and so forth. All of this is to avoid those household pests, excuse me. In our pantry, store flour, sugar, salt in tightly sealed containers. If you are leaving that refrigerator turned on, you can place those items in there, but remember the flour will take on some of that moisture that is in the refrigerator, so you'll have to sift it before using it. Again, leave unopened cans and jars on the shelves. And pay attention to the FIFO method, first in, first out, so that maybe you can use some of those items prior to your departure. Our laundry. So turn off that water supply to the washer, especially if you're going to be gone for more than even 3 weeks or a month. And because you're doing that, because that water supply, that pressure to the hose can give way. So you don't need a weather event to have flooding in your home. Your washer can do the job all on its own, because if that bursts, you can end up with an inch or two of water on your flooring. So you want to turn that off. You want to clean the filter, your lint filter, to your dryer. You should make it a habit to clean that lint filter after each use. Lower the temperature of your hot water tank, especially if you're going to be gone a month or longer. Don't turn it off. Just take it down a few degrees, and that's also another way to save on your electric bill. And of course, if you can unplug these two appliances as well, again, these are expensive appliances to replace in case there is a power surge. So in your bedroom, leave your linens clean and dry. And the reason why we say that is because of our body oils and the mold that can come to leaving our linens that have been used, right? We know that mold grows on anything organic. So cottons and linens and leathers, paper are all items that will grow mold. So leaving things clean and dry before you leave. It is recommended that you vacuum your mattress. I always take a clean sheet and I just lay it on top of the mattress. And I take the comforters or quilts that you might have on your bedding. I fold those up, put those away. Better yet, if you have those vacuum sealed bags, placing them in that. And push the furniture away from the wall if you can. I mean, if there's a carpeting and it's very difficult to do, but this is for air circulation because we're going to be handling our AC unit a little bit differently. So we want the air to circulate as much as possible. And we'll be talking about your air conditioning unit in a few more slides. Your closets. Again, for the same reasons, you want to leave only clean clothes. So even if you've worn a shirt for just an hour or two, you have left your body oils on that shirt. So you want to leave everything clean before you leave so that mold doesn't or mildew doesn't begin to grow. If at all possible, leave some space in between the garments. So again, for air circulation. Try to use plastic or wooden hangers. If you use wire hangers, and there's just that little bit of moisture, you will end up with rust spots on the shoulder portions of your blouses and shirts and so forth. So invest in even some cheap plastic hangers. They are worth the investment. And leave the doors open to your closets, again, for air circulation. If you've gone to the dry cleaners and you have clothes in those plastic dry cleaning bags, you want to remove those bags, take that garment off of the metal hanger and put it on a plastic hanger. Because that moisture will develop underneath the plastic, and you just need things your clothes to have air to breathe. The bathroom, you want to clean all surfaces and fixtures. You cover your toilet and the tank, especially the toilet, with some plastic wrap if you can. Because of that, to prevent moisture loss, and also closing the lid to your tank or to your on your toilet seat will also prevent little critters from finding their way up. So, especially if you live on a lake or a man-made pond, right? We have rats, we have water rats, we have snakes, we have little geckos and so forth that all find their way or can find their way into our homes. I once did a presentation and somebody said that they always place a brick on top because they didn't want a water rat to come through. I guess that was an issue. So do I think that a water rat's going to come through? I don't believe so. I think that was going a little bit to the extreme. But just so you know, like we live in our home all year. And when my children, especially my daughter, was a teenager, she went to use the restroom, and there sitting on the toilet seat was a frog. I think you could hear her scream from outside. But even with the activity within the home, an animal can surface through, up through, and find itself in unfamiliar territory like your bathroom. So let's talk about preparing the interior of your home. Specifically, let's talk about mold. We know that mold is a fungus that grows in multicellular filaments. So, for example, when you are, excuse me, letting somebody in, when you, say in your shower, and the grout that's in your shower, and it becomes moldy. So you take the time and get a brush, and maybe you get some bleach, and you scrub it away, only to find that it grows back again. Well, that's because it is a multicellular filament. So when you clean mold, you're only cleaning that top portion of the mold. You're not getting the entire down to the root of the mold. And the only way you can do that is to remove all the grout. And you can't do that. So prevention is key. Mold can range in colors from black, which is a common color, but also white. And sometimes you'll see that white mold on wood, but it can be orange, green, and purple. There's over 300,000 different types of mold. So it's hard to know what a specific mold or molds are growing in your home. But the optimum temperature growth rate of mold is about 77 to 88 degrees. And the humidity that it loves to flourish in is between 70 and 93%. So our goal is to keep our home around 75 degrees, and I know nobody wants to hear that, and our humidity level between 45 and 60. We're going to talk about some other ways we can handle our air conditioning units a little further up in the presentation. Mold reproduces through tiny spores that float through the air. These are invisible to the naked eye, and we're exposed to them daily. Every time we go outside to run an errand, to walk the dog, to get the newspaper, just to take a walk, we are exposed to mold. We bring those little spores in on our shoes, on our clothing, and so forth. And usually in these small amounts, they're pretty harmless. And we are washing our clothes, we're changing our shoes, we're washing our hair and so forth. So we're keeping mold at a minimum. But we have to remember that we are exposed to mold all the time. Mold spores won't grow and spread without specific conditions. And that is, first, it needs something organic, right? Like cotton, linen, what we spoke of. But it's also leather, paper, wood, food, water. It also needs the correct temperature. So we said that was between 77 and about 86 degrees. It needs just the right amount of humidity between that 70 and 93%. Of course, it needs oxygen, but it does not need light. In fact, it prefers not to grow in light. That's why it loves your shower and the bathroom. It's the perfect temperature, it's the perfect humidity level. And in some spots of your bathroom, there is less light or more shaded areas. So when you leave, your home is not going to you're not going to come back to what this is, this photo. But what I like about this picture, and this is why I selected it, is that if you look closely, you'll see that there's several different types of mold growing in just this small area. You'll see those big, giant circular types of molds. Then you'll see the black spots molds. You'll see the blue grayish mold. You'll see the white spotted mold. So now this photograph, I am guessing a home probably was being built. Maybe it went into foreclosure. It lay by itself, empty, untouched for at least a year or more. And this is what was found. So we have to think about whether if there's leaks in our roofs, our windows, anything where water can penetrate in your home could be a potential for mold growth. If there's been a flood, again, your shower, your bathtub, and again, it will grow on anything organic. So the solution, keeping things clean. And that's why when we think about our shower and how we handle our shower, taking the time just to get a squeegee and squeegeeing the water down the drain is a huge help to keeping your shower clean and dry. I used to make, and I still do this, I have a towel that I use to wipe a good portion of my shower down so that I can control that mold growth. But also keeping the temperature at the right temperature, controlling the amount of moisture in my home. And if you are concerned about the moisture in your home, you can go to these big box stores and for a very minimal cost, purchase a humidistat that will measure the amount of moisture in your home. We said again, repeating ourselves, the optimum temperature is that 77 to 88, and the optimum humidity is 70 to 93. So that goal is about 75 degrees and that humidity 45 to 60%. Now, a lot of people ask me about desiccants, and there's two different types of desiccants. The one is the silica gel and alumina that you can use, and you all recognize these. You've seen them in your shoes, new purses, and they work by absorbing moisture from the air. They do a good job for small areas, and they feel dry to the touch when actually they're saturated. Now, one of the things that you can do with the silica gel or the alumina is that you can reuse it over and over again. And you could take a cookie sheet. I would put some parchment paper on top, lay these little packets out, turn your oven on at 200 degrees, and that will dry it out. It can stay in the oven for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. I really wouldn't keep it in longer than that. And you can use them over and over again. When do you know when they're full? You can't tell, right? It's very difficult to tell because they feel dry when touched. Now, you can also use calcium chloride, and maybe you've seen commercials now that they know that our northern residents are getting ready to depart, but they are found in products like damp ribbon, and they can absorb several times its weight in moisture. But once it liquefies, that's it. You have to discard the liquid, and it cannot be reused. Now, the issue with this one, the calcium chloride, is that once it does liquefy, if you don't remove that liquid, it will be reabsorbed into the air. So you really haven't gotten ahead. You would need to have somebody come in and dispose of that liquid and maybe put some more damper down. So both of these products are small areas. And when I say small areas, I mean a small bathroom, maybe a guest bathroom, maybe a closet, but certainly these are not meant to be used for areas like a great room, a room that has both your kitchen and a huge family room, or a bedroom. It just can't handle that much moisture. So now we're going to take a look at preparing the exterior of your home, and we're going to look at how to handle your air handler, as well as the foundation, roof and windows, lanai and pool, and also how to handle that water supply. So your air conditioning unit, you should have your air conditioning unit checked by a professional. It's a good safeguard to get into, and I know people don't like to always incur the cost of having that semi-annual or paying for the semi-annual maintenance, but they check the levels of certain equipment, they change filters, they do all kinds of good maintenance. And when you are leaving your home for 3 months or 6 months, you want to make sure that your air conditioning is in good working order. You want to set your thermostat low enough for the unit to operate continuously for 2 hours each morning and keeping everything sealed, and that will help reduce the mildew development. Now, you can only do that if you have a timer. When your maintenance person comes to your home, you can find out if that's something that can be installed, something maybe you can do yourself, or maybe next time you purchase a new appliance, you have that on as an added feature. If you have a humidistat, and again, that can be an attachment or an upgrade that you would buy if you're purchasing a new unit. But if you already have a humidistat on your AC unit, you want to set it to 60%. Then you can set your thermostat to 80 degrees. Now, one good thing to do if you have neither a humidistat or a timer is next time that person comes to your home, every company, every AC unit has a different way it operates. It basically all operates the same, but there's those little idiosyncrasies of how things operate in the machine. Check with your service person to ask how should I set this appliance to operate if I'm leaving my home for an extended amount of time. I wouldn't let them know when you're leaving and so forth, but if you ever are leaving your home. But if you have neither a thermostat or you are in a home, it is recommended that perhaps set your thermostat to 80 degrees. If you are in an apartment or a condo where your walls are attached to other people's walls, or your roof or your ceiling and your floor, and you're on the second floor and there's a third floor above you, then you can set your apartment or your condo to 77 degrees because you're operating a smaller appliance. It will stay cooler better for you. And again, you could check your manual. Better yet, you can look online or ask your service person how to handle your unit. And sometimes, and I'll send this out to you as well as one of the supporting documents, is FPL provides a wonderful booklet that discusses AC units as well, and how to keep your electric bill down. So exterior examination. And for many of you living in an apartment or condo, this isn't going to pertain to you, but for any homeowner out there, just make sure that the grading should direct the rainfall away from your home so that it's not collecting right on the foundation. Landscaping around the home should permit airflow, so it should be at least 6 to 10 inches away from the house. The branches shouldn't be touching your home. Again, we talk about crawl spaces, and that's because some people joining us are from up north where there is crawl spaces. We know here in Florida, we don't have that luxury of having basements and crawl spaces, but should not have standing water and should also be well ventilated. Your roof, we don't recommend getting on a ladder and climbing up to your roof. Perhaps you contact a roofing company to come and take a look at your roof, especially if you have an older roof. But you want to check for leaks and seepage or decay. If you have a, I'm having a senior moment, a drone, you know, you could take your drone up and take a look at your roof that way. Sometimes it's just backing yourself up until you get to the curb and taking a look at the roof line that way can also be a help. But again, you're looking for leaks and seepage and so forth. If you have shingles, look for damage or loose or missing shingles, and same with tiled roofs. You don't want any cracked tiles or cracked or missing tiles. If you have a chimney, make sure that the chimney and your vent flashing are all in good condition. Gutters and downspouts are flowing freely. So if there's a raining event and you go outside real quickly to check to see if your downspouts are working, you're good to go. But again, you want to make sure that those downspouts are far enough away so that the water is flowing away from your home and not getting caught up by your home and the foundation. You want to check for leaks, cracks in the mortar. Remember, water will find its way wherever it can. For mildew, cracks, or any blisters. Any gaps between windows and doors, anywhere where water can penetrate, the caulking would need to be removed and new caulking in its place. And this is time consuming to go through and check this. If you have a new home, you really don't have to worry. Your caulking, I'm sure, is in good condition, but I would still do an examination to make sure everything is the way it should be. Checking on your lanai. Again, clean and secure indoors. Anything that's decorative, like those decorative or ceramic animals and so forth, plants, even your garbage receptacles, even with tropical storms, those tropical storms sometimes are strong enough to blow all these things over. And certainly you don't want any furniture in your pool. You don't want garbage receptacles ending up over and doing damage at your neighbors, in your neighbors' yards and so forth. Plants, you can either give them to someone to babysit or place them in a garage. And if you don't have a garage, you have a carport, maybe taking a clean sheet, putting it in your kitchen and placing these items, cleaned items, in your kitchen, just to make sure that they are not blown around, because all these items can become airborne. If you have a swimming pool, that, of course, that needs to be maintained regularly. So making sure that you have scheduled pool maintenance. A service will check for the correct pH and chemical balance. You never want to drain your pool like we did up north. Down here, the pool will crack with the sun, but also the weight of the water in your pool keeps your pool intact. If you drain that pool after a while, your pool will implode and you will end up with a small volcano of cracked cement and dirt and sand instead of a swimming pool. So never drain out your pool. Never put lanai furniture into the pool. That will damage your pool in case of a hurricane. So checking our water supply, you know, some residents do have the ability to turn off their main water supply when leaving for extended periods of time. But if you live in a planned community, like an HOA, check with your management before turning off that water supply, because you can, by turning off that water supply, if you are in an HOA, you might be turning off your neighbors as well, because when they water, when those water systems turn on, they're usually watering 2 or 3 homes at a time. And if you turn your water supply off, that might also turn off your neighbors as well. But if you are leaving, you might consider turning off your hot water tank. It is recommended we just turn it down. But if you do turn it off, you do want to open your sink and any kind of faucets to release pressure. So do not turn off your water supply if you have an automatic irrigation system that you must leave on. Your home is dependent on an automatic fire system, a sprinkler system. You might have other automatic appliances, and doing so just violates that community policy. Of course, always request paperless billing, which I'm sure all of you already do, and check that water bill to make sure that there's not an increase in your water bill. Follow local water restrictions, and that's our website. If you'd like to learn more about those water restrictions, check your rain sensors, and if you are in a HOA community, they should be checking those rain sensors so that your sprinklers do not turn on while it is raining out. And again, look for leaks, right? Those huge fountains that can spurt when there is a leak in the system. Communicate to your landscaping company your needs. I wouldn't let them know that you are leaving, but I certainly would let them know that not to mow anything. Your yard typically should be at a height of about 3.5 to 4 inches. So I'd make sure that they're following that. And that they're following Sarasota County fertilizer ordinances. And all of those individuals are trained through our office. And there is special certification to be able to apply fertilizer to your yards. And if you are in an HOA, they are already following those. Now, let's talk about securing your home to discourage intruders and also that household inventory. So there are so many apps you can download on your phone to help you keep track and to discourage intruders. Remember, if anyone is interested in breaking your home, they know they have 3 minutes to come in, to take whatever they need to take, and to leave before some type of law enforcement will be at your home. So, of course, discourage newspaper and arrange to forward mail. I know that that's an automatic, right? If you can if you're not comfortable downloading these apps, you still can do the old-fashioned thing of putting lights on a timer. Window treatments should not permit easy viewing. So a lot of times in my neighborhood, and people are starting to leave my neighborhood, they'll take their window treatments and completely shut them up, bring everything inside, and it's automatic. You know that they've left, right? You don't really want to shut those window treatments completely. You do want to shut them enough not to permit easy viewing, but absolutely to see that lights are coming on and off, because you don't want your home to look empty. Of course, checking your answering machines regularly. You might consider using shatterproof or double glazed windows in your doors and your windows. Use a bolt type block on your sliding door, plus those jamming bars. And they're not, you don't need an expensive metal jamming bar. You can go to those big box stores and buy those dowels in those longer lengths to fit the track of your door sliding doors. But you also want to use that bolt type block so that they can't lift the doors up and out. And voila, it doesn't take long for them to be able to do that, and they are in your home. And of course, installing cameras both in and outside of your home, and being able to look at those cameras is just an easy thing to do. And again, there are so many technological advances to making this so much easier than what it was even 5 years ago. Here's an important thing to consider, both not only your home here in the South, but also the home that you're going to go to up north as well. You want to keep a current and detailed household inventory. Keep inventory and other valuable documents in a secure location, whether that's a safety deposit box. Maybe it's taking those documents with you. One of the supporting documents to this class is a list of all the kinds of important documents that you should take. Passports, home deeds, car registrations, marriage license, veterans papers. It's just an entire list of all different types of things. Yes, birth certificates and so forth. They can be replaced at a cost of not only out-of-pocket expenses, but those documents take time to replace. So think about organizing them and then just taking them with you, especially your insurance documents. Think all about disaster preparedness. And it's useful when talking to your insurance agent so that if you do have to make a claim, you have who to contact and you have documentation as well. And of course, there are all kinds of phone applications you can use to help keep these documents. And, you know, just storing them on a thumb drive of your computer, for your computer. You want to consider an inventory of each room of your home, both inside your home and outside. So I wouldn't take photos, but I sure would get my cell phone, turn it on video, and go around to each room of the home. Don't forget to go into your garage where your cars are, or maybe you have expensive equipment out there, a motorcycle, a golf cart. And think about if you do have a pool, taking pictures of your pool, as well as the furniture that you might have. And then I take still shots of my home, both the front, the back, and the sides of my home. Yes, when you insured your property, they came out and did that, but maybe that was 10 years ago. So, and maybe you put on a new roof. I would take those still shots. Also, in the interior home, if you have anything that's expensive or cherished, beautiful rug, maybe some lovely ceramics, paintings, even jewelry. Of course, I would take my jewelry with me, but all those items should be photographed so that you can prove that those items existed and that they were in the home. If you can record the cost and current value, great. Sometimes that's difficult to do, especially for items that are handed down and they're more heirloom. But consider taking photos or videos to accompany your inventory. So your insurance, keep it, review and update. And FEMA, because I do teach disaster preparedness, you know, has just redefined or reconfigured its maps. So you might now be out of zone X or out of zone B, and now you're in zone A or whatever. So make sure you know what flood zone you are currently located. And if you do need to purchase flood insurance or any necessary riders, remember, know your wind deductible. You might be very surprised to find out that it's very expensive, that deductible, even if it is, you know, just 3 to 5% can be very expensive for out-of-pocket expenses. So be aware of your insurance. Know your insurance agent, know your phone numbers to contact your insurance. And a great thing to do is get the phone information of your neighbors and friends. If they're staying, they can keep an eye on your home. And if you know a hurricane has gone through our area, you can contact them to see if your home has sustained any damage or the neighborhood has flooded and so forth. And if it's not your neighbors, if you have friends that can come by your home, anyone that can take a look at your home to know if any damage has been sustained to your home. And home security, of course, if you have that contact information, if you're purchasing some type of home security. So are you prepared to leave? We talked about our interior of our home, how to control some of that moisture. We looked at the exterior examination, intruder prevention, and household inventory. And this brings us to the end of our presentation.